Merry, Merry Christmas, and thank you for dropping by my short story, The Christmas Glitch. This is chapter 3, and if you remember in chapter 2, Charlie Higgins was standing by the Christmas tree on the roundabout at the bottom of the street. There were footprints in the snow that led off into the direction that he didn't know where, and Christmas music filled the air that compelled him to follow these footprints. So that's exactly what he did. Charlie walked across the estate, following these footprints and the music, which took him down to the church. Now the church was there at a lovely little Christmas tree outside, and when Charlie looked up, he could see the bell tower, he could see the bell at an angle and frozen solid. Now this is what brought the journey on in the first place, the adventure of the bell stopping. Charlie looked on the ground and he could see that the footprints were going past the church and leading out to the main road. Now the main road led to the town. Music was still playing in the air, so Charlie followed the footprints and the music. He made his way along the high street, and as he got closer to town, the lampposts were all lit up with tinsel and everything. As he got closer again, the shops and the restaurants and the pubs and everything, they all had Christmas trees outside all lit up. Some of the restaurants were people stepping out, all frozen. The pubs, you could see in the window, everybody was in there drinking, everybody frozen to the spot. Charlie kept on following the music and the footprints. Now they eventually led him to the town square. The town square held the biggest, most beautiful Christmas tree from all around. It was filled with lights, with garland and tinsel, and it was absolutely stunning. He stood in front of the tree, and that's where the footprints stopped, and that's where the music stopped also. Charlie thought to himself, what am I doing here? Why is all this happening? Why is Christmas stopped? And as he thought that, something really strange started to happen. The ground started to vibrate. And Charlie started to get snow fall on top of him from the Christmas tree. So he stepped back a couple of steps. The Christmas tree began to shake. And then it began to collapse down into the ground. Charlie stood further back. He couldn't believe what was happening. Eventually, the tree disappeared altogether. Charlie was standing there, he didn't know what to do. Then, a column came up from the ground, a huge white column, and made its way up to the sky. And it disappeared amongst the clouds. And eventually stopped. So Charlie was standing there looking at this white column. It was then his heart almost stopped because he heard a low, gravelly growl. He didn't want to turn round, but he had to. And when he eventually did turn around, in the distance, just off the square, was the biggest timber wolf he'd ever seen in his life. It had silvery white fur, a long snout, big beady red eyes, and with his mouth bared, all sharp white teeth, with saliva dripping to the bottom of his chin. Huge padded feet, and it was making its way towards him. Charlie didn't know what to do. He was frozen to the spot. Where could he go? He could never outrun this beast. And then a voice, he kind of recognised but wasn't sure, told him to turn around. Head towards the steps. What steps? When he turned, the column had produced spiral staircase. Go, go, the voice said, and then faded away. Charlie didn't wait any longer. He ran towards the steps, hearing the wolf chasing after him. He ran up the steps for all he was worth. Up and up and up and up he went. The wolf dived, leapt, and almost snapped at his heels, but then tumbled down. Charlie kept on going. He didn't look. He was out of breath until eventually he felt safe. And he stopped. He could hear the dog still growling down below. And when he looked down, the steps had disappeared. Every step that he'd walked on had disappeared. That's why the dog couldn't follow him. And he looked down, the dog was walking back and forth in a figure of 8. and then it looked up and talked to Charlie. "I nearly had you then, Charlie Higgins. Why don't you come down and I can show you where to go?" Charlie said, "No fear of that, Mr. Wolf. I am not coming down there to get eaten by you." "Well, where are you going to go, Charlie? You don't know where you're going." "I'm going to go up the steps." And Charlie ignored the wolf and began walking up the spiral stairs. Higher and higher he went, making sure he kept on the inside, tracing his hands against the smooth wall of the column. He didn't want to go too far because there was no handrail, and if he fell, he would fall, hundreds of feet. He could see out and the view over the town and over the streets and houses and the pretty lights. And the higher he got, then there was a fog and the clouds, and he walked through the clouds still holding onto the wall. It was a thick fog. He couldn't see where he was going, but eventually he got right to the top of the column. And when he stepped up, the clouds disappeared. And when he looked below, there was no column and no steps. He was standing on a platform. And when he looked directly ahead of him, there was a cable car, kind of what you'd find on a ski mountain. The cable car's doors were open. It was suspended there, and he presumed it was waiting for him. So Charlie looked out into the sky and all the twinkly stars, and he looked to his left, and there was a huge snow-capped mountain, and right at the top there was another station, presumably where the cable car was going to go, and beyond that, the pretty lights of another town. Charlie walked across the platform, climbed into the cable car, and sat snugly in the seat. The door closed. Christmas music started playing in the background, the same music that had got him to the column in the first place. And then the cable car took off and made its way up the mountain. Little did Charlie know, though, there was another cable car following him. Inside that cable car was a darkened figure. What was he following him for? What was it all about? You will have to find out in chapter 4. Well, thank you for following this. If you could subscribe to my channel and maybe click on the notification bell to tell you when the next chapter is coming up, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.